Like, the lady put me in a different room, and then I'm like, hey, I think that I booked this room. This looks like the room for the pictures. And she's like, oh no, you can have that one, but it's a little more expensive and it doesn't have kitchen use. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm just hanging out in my Airbnb in Split, Croatia. This is my third city in Croatia. I started in Dubrovnik, then on the island of Hvar. Now I'm here in Split before heading to my fourth city. And I figured today is as good as any because it's a super rainy day outside. It's like gray and just gloomy. I thought I could tell you what you should ask before booking your first Airbnb stay. Now, if you're new to the Airbnb gang, welcome, we're happy to have you. So far at this point in my life, I can pretty much swear by Airbnb, but I've been a member of the site since 2015, I believe, and I think my first trip was to Trinidad, either Trinidad or Dominican Republic, but I think it was Trinidad. And, you know, since then, 2015, 2016, so in this almost 4-year span, I have, you know, slipped up a few times, gotten caught up. I've never had to, well, this may be a lie. I accidentally booked a hostel through Airbnb, and the hostel wasn't the problem. It was the fact that where I was staying was pretty shitty. So I checked out of that and went to another place that I found on Airbnb. So aside from that, I definitely still swear by the service, but I believe there are a few things you should ask before booking your stay. Not after you book it, but you have the options, you know, chat with the host, send them a couple messages, and make sure that this place is going to be exactly what the listing says it is and what you hope that it will be. So, a few things. Number one, is there heat? So this may depend on which country you're booking with, maybe not, because even in somewhere like LA, we know that there is gorgeous weather all year round, but at night those temperatures can drop and it can be chilly. So even if you're booking a place in LA, you may want to know, is there heat in this apartment or this home or this room that you're renting or a garage? I saw some people renting their tents in their yard. Like, there are tent listings, and not the pop-up Coleman tents and shit like that, like actual weather protector pieces of plastic strung up on string, and people are renting that on Airbnb. So this video was actually based on a blog post that came about when I was in Malta, and I checked into this place and it basically checked off all the questions on this list that I should have asked. It was freezing cold. Now, I set my sights on Malta because it's one of the warmest places in Europe, kind of all year round. And I visited in, what was that, like February or late February to March, something like that. It was cold. It was cold in that house. And when I got there and ended up messaging the host after the first day because he was not staying there, I'm like, hey, you know, it's freezing. I'm walking around fully clothed. I'm sleeping fully clothed at night. I'm not used to that. So if I have to get into bed with actual clothes on, we have a problem. So I asked him, like, hey, is there heat? And he's just like, no, that would be really expensive if we actually paid to install a heating system because it is usually warm all year round. So yeah, don't be like me. If you know that you're going to be somewhere that's kind of chilly or temperatures drop at night, or you like to sleep, you know, in a heated room or a heated home, I mean, ask the question. Ask the question. Most days I was sitting in the kitchen at the counter, taking this little heater that I had to end up purchasing all around the room with me. I was taking it from room to room and around the room because I was shivering cold. That is how cold it was. Now, I'm sometimes colder than the average human, but nah, it was cold in there. It was cold. So if you know that you're like me and you may get a little chilly before the person next to you does, you may want to either pack an extra blanket, impossible, take a winter jacket, unnecessary and possibly impossible, or ask these people, is there heat? Now, the follow-up to that question is there AC? Now, I am looking directly at an air conditioner in my Airbnb where it's on. I must have gotten a little warm, but this is somewhere where I don't even need it. Like, I could open a window, but I just don't want to get, I don't want bugs to get in because mosquitoes love me. But when I was in let's see, this is actually the blog post that I'm looking at for my notes. I started this whole travel journey in Colombia, in Medellin, Colombia to be specific, and it is the city of eternal spring. Now, I did not need air conditioning there because the weather was always perfect and I could just open my window and, you know, that breeze come through, or close it if it got a little too chilly. So when I went to Cartagena, where it may be the city of eternal summer, which is fine because I love the heat, but I would get to my room that turned out to be a hostel and I would be dripping in sweat. And literally, I don't like to, you know, sit on my bed once I've been in outside clothing, and it was just a bed in there. There was no desk, there was no chair. I would just stand in the middle of the room like dripping sweat, because in this place, you could only turn on the AC from like 8 p.m., maybe it was 6 p.m. To 11 a.m. So when I've been out all morning and then I get back in the afternoon, I gotta sit there and wait a couple more hours before I can even use this AC. Like, it wasn't just you're not supposed to turn it on, you literally could not turn it on. So if you know that you're gonna be somewhere really, really hot, and maybe opening up a window would just make it even hotter, ask these people if they have ACs. Like, my last few Airbnbs like this one have had ACs, and you know, I get there and the host checks me in and they're like, and here's AC. I'm like, I don't need that. I don't need that. It's been so unnecessary the last couple times, but I have not had it when I have needed it the most. So ask. This was another tricky part of my Airbnb in Malta. You need to ask, because I want to say this is a European thing. That's the only place I've ever experienced it. But ask if they have a hot water heater in their bathroom. Now, that's that tank that usually, in here, I'm also looking at the bathroom. In here, it's above the sink, but usually it's right above the shower or right above the toilet, and it's just what heats up the water. You have to click the switch to turn it on. I leave mine on the entire time. But heats up the hot water that you're going to use in the sink, in the bathroom, and in the shower. And here, I think it also heats up the water to the kitchen, because I see the light come on when I'm using the kitchen sink. So, one, ask them if they have one of those, and two, ask them how the hell do you use it? Now, I thought that I was tripping and doing something wrong in Malta, but no, it was just a shitty hot water heater, because again, I have had them in every place I've stayed since, and they've worked like a breeze. Now, they are not going to stay hot for, you know, if you feel like meditating in the shower for 40 minutes, which usually I like to do, but I do try to keep my shower short. They're not always going to keep the water scorching hot the entire time, but for the most part, every hot water heater I've had to deal with since then has worked like a charm. But that one in Malta, I was taking 3-minute showers. It was already freezing cold, and then I have to take a cold shower on top of that. So it wasn't fun. And with the host not being there, like, there were little things, even with the stove, I couldn't use the stove, and I thought it just didn't work, and I got gypped because I specifically booked a place for the kitchen. Luckily, there was someone else staying there, and I'm like, hey, I see you're cooking, how do you use that? If you don't know how to use these hot water heaters, and it's not just as simple as click the switch and hop in, because I swear that one in Malta was from another planet, ask the host how to use one of those bad boys, because it may be a little tricky, just a little bit. Speaking of kitchens and ovens and stoves, you may want to ask if you can even use the kitchen. Now, if you book a place and you see that they have a kitchen in the pictures, or you have the entire apartment or a house, you may be surprised to know that you can't always use that kitchen. So on Airbnb, when you're booking a place, there are a list of amenities, and I want to say the ones that are grayed out means it's not available. So if I would have taken a little peek, I would have seen that the one in Malta had the grayed out area for heat, but I mean, it was freezing. It was freezing outside and it was freezing indoors. You would think they would at least offer a little heater, like a portable one you could take from room to room. It was okay. I found one for 20 euros and I took that bad boy to France with me. Like, I didn't even leave it for the next person, which I should have. That would have been a nice thing to do because I ended up leaving it in France where I didn't even need it because heat was an option in Nice. So back to the point, can you use their kitchen? This is important if you're a long-term traveler like me and you're staying somewhere for an entire month thinking, okay, not only am I getting a discount on my stay because I'm staying either a week or an entire month, and that's when the discounts do tend to kick in, not always, but sometimes or usually. And you think, another way I can save money is by going grocery shopping and cooking. No, it doesn't always work like that. I didn't find this out until my Airbnb stay in Cartagena. This is after I checked out of the hostel and I literally booked a place right across the street. I didn't even realize it, but I literally took my suitcase and walked across the street to this high-rise luxury apartment building. And my first day there, within the first hour, I think I'm going to the corner to the grocery store, bring back my stuff. And then I just see the housekeeper who, this was like a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment. I don't even understand why they had a housekeeper. But she's like following me from room to room. And obviously, if you've seen my videos, I'm used to stairs. I'm used to them. I don't like them. I will never accept them because I don't do that to people, especially not when others are visiting America. I don't sit there and like glare at them as they walk down the street. That's not my ministry. But I am used to stairs. But this was a different level. This lady was literally like on my fucking back, following me from like each inch of the counter as I'm like looking for a place to put away things. And you would think she's trying to be helpful, but she's not saying anything. She did not speak English, but I was living in a country where the primary language was not English, so we found ways to speak, me and everyone else, but she was a different breed. So she just kept following me around to the point where I was highly uncomfortable. I'm like, is this lady following me around here because I'm black? Like, does she think I'm gonna steal something? What is it? And while I honestly do think that's it, I messaged the host like, hey, can I use your kitchen? Because the housekeeper is literally, she might as well have been a monkey on my fucking back. She was so close and following me, or just would stand at the end of the counter like watching every move I made. So I'm like, hey, can I use your kitchen because your housekeeper is literally following me everywhere that I walk? Like, it was so uncomfortable. So he's like, no, the kitchen isn't set up for use. Something else, I can't even remember. It doesn't even matter. So I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe that's why she's following me everywhere, but didn't say anything. So the one thing that stands out is it's not set up for use. Well, guess who was cooking every day that I was there? Like making entire fucking meals. The housekeeper. So yeah, moral of the story, see if you can use a kitchen before you actually try to, or before you book. If you think I'm gonna be saving hundreds of bucks not eating out and being able to grocery shop and come home and cook, and come to find out you can't. You're gonna have to heat that can of beans up in the microwave. And another kitchen situation was when I was just in Montenegro. And again, if you watched my vlogs of my time there, like the lady put me in a different room. And then I'm like, hey, I think that I booked this room. This looks like the room for the pictures. And she's like, oh no, you can have that one, but it's a little more expensive and it doesn't have kitchen use. Like, when you guys are done watching this, go watch my Montenegro videos, or at least the first video that I put up of my time in Montenegro. If you would have seen the kitchen that I had access to, you might be appalled. Like, it was outdoors. It was this little 2-burner, I don't even want to call it a camping stove because it had what should have been an oven, but there was no oven there, and like a sink to the side of it. It was very rugged and interesting, and I had to utilize that for a month to cook my meals. And just thinking of the things that I ate, I was roughing it. Like, I was roughing it. So I was so happy when the next place after that had an actual kitchen for me to use. And you cannot tell me I was not Chef Boyarmo up in there, like eating down, eating everything. My last recommendation for something that you should ask your Airbnb host before booking is something that I've grown accustomed to, but it still like catches me up from time to time. I'm just like, oh, this is happening. Ask these people, are they renting out the other rooms in their place to other people? Like, I can't tell you how many times I've checked into somewhere and I'm just assuming that the host stays there, and it's like, nope. So I'm like, okay, well, they don't stay there. I must have the place entirely to myself. No, again, there are several other rooms, and all of those rooms are being rented to other strangers. So yeah, that's cool or whatever. It's rarely a problem for me. It's just always shocking. And why is it never listed in the listing? Why do they never put that there? We have 5 rooms. You are renting one of them. The rest are rented to other travelers. Like, that would be nice to know. Because then you could ask things like, okay, well, there are 8 other strangers in this home. Do you have a lock on the door? Does everyone have kitchen access? Do I get my own bag? Like, how does this work? So more often than not, it's totally cool. I actually can't remember a time where it wasn't. You know, sometimes I interact with the others, like in Medellin, where I ended up becoming friends with one of the girls who was staying in another room, because I think we were both staying there super long term, and like that was what we bonded over. And we would go out a couple times, and then there were other times where, like in Malta, where the other 2 people were renting 2 different rooms. They didn't know each other, but they both happened to be French, which was kind of cool. It seemed like they could barely speak English, which I don't care. But we kind of didn't form any type of relationship. And actually, once they left, I had the place to myself for like a week, maybe a week and a half. So that was totally cool. But this just happens to me, you know, walking into a home, and it's like, not only does the host not stay here and does not live anywhere around here, but there are like 3 other rooms. This is what happened in Medellin. There was my room and then 3 other rooms. And there are tons of people. There are tons of people up and through this house, and I had no clue. I'm thinking there would be the host and then me, maybe another traveler, but no. Like, they're just buying these homes and renting them to a bunch of people to make money, which, hey, maybe if I felt like coming to clean and check on people, I would do it too. But it's just something to look out for. So that was my list of questions you should ask before booking your Airbnb stay. Please trust me on this, and be smarter than me, actually. Like, look at the amenities, which ones specifically are offered. Like, now I know, because I'm traveling for weeks at a time, a minimum of a month usually in certain countries, I know for a fact that I need a kitchen. I know for a fact that I need to see if a kitchen is even offered. Like, once I'm putting in my dates and locations for wherever I'm booking, I know that I need to say, click, must have kitchen. I know that that is something that I need. Like, I can't do without it unless I want to be broke out here. So be smarter. Ask questions beforehand. Don't be like me. Thank you so much for staying to the end. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Subscribe before anything. And I will see you guys in the next video.